Alright, we've got Sword and Caravan to look at today. It says Medieval Adventures on the Silk Road, a historical setting for OSR games by RPG Pundit. So I've done videos on RPG Pundit's Dark Albion, as well as his Lion and Dragon, as you can see here. And his newest release is Sword and Caravan. So this is the premium hardcover drive-through RPG print-on-demand version of the book. I waited until they put up the premium version because I really liked what I saw from the preview, and I really wanted to see how it would look in premium color. So this is pretty much a OSR setting book, so there's a little bit of rules that can be used for any OSR game, but they obviously work very well with his Lion and Dragon, which is a great game. After looking at it again, after reading this book, again, just a good appreciation for what he did with Lion and Dragon. So it's got new classes, magical techniques. It's going to teach you all about the Silk Road, a lot of history. Obviously, it's very much like Dark Albion is. It says, with a detailed gazetteer of every region along the Silk Road, from the Crusader states and the Muslim world to China, Sword and Caravan gives you everything you need to explore the history and varied cultures of a region filled with war, intrigue, commerce, and conquests. So, I hope that being able to see the premium version, I wish I had the normal version to sit it next to, right beside it, so you could see the difference in the color. But this border is gorgeous, and obviously is a big draw to how good looking this book is. It's got a lot of obviously this old public domain type art, and this is going to be set in the year 1192, and this book is very much definitely the way that Dark Albion was to some degree. We've got a list of tables here, which is very nice, but again, this border here is just gorgeous. So very cool Marco Polo quote there, and then it's going to get into an introduction into the Silk Road campaign, explaining everything that's going on. It's during the time of the Third Crusade. Richard Lionheart has just liberated the city of Acre from the rule of Saladin, and so the first part of this book is going to be teaching you about the setting and the culture, again reiterating about social status, much the way that Lion and Dragon as well as Dark Albion focus on. And the notes on setting and culture, these sections here are very good. Explaining the way that things were back then. Obviously, Pundit knows his history quite well. I've actually went and looked online just to kind of double check, I guess I should say, some of the history that is in here, and it checks out. So he obviously knows his stuff. He's gone more towards actual religions than he had in Dark Albion, which had kind of a fictional take on Christianity. So it's moving more towards actual history. Explains about magic monsters and miracles, how a lot of people did believe them back then. So, obviously you could play this setting very straight-laced historical, but you could also add in a lot of the fantastic to it as well. Telling you about how life is cheap. Of course, that's going to be very well known in the medieval times. A great section here about morality, sexuality, and the role of women, explaining that, this is a historical setting, and some of the stuff that's happening back then, of course, doesn't jive well with what we do now, but it does tell you, there were female warriors and soldiers, and they would be obviously very unique within this setting if it was played historically correct. But it's a very good section, and it's very respectful as well, so I like that a lot. And then we're going to get right into a good meat of the book here with the setting overview. So it's going to teach you a lot about what's going on in the setting, such as the Crusader states and the city of Acre, and it's going to go through a lot of different areas. And again, I'm a big sucker for this old-timey art with the public domain and how this looks, and just how this book looks overall. It tells you about the different locations, different cities. Again, look these up, and they're going to really coincide with actual history. So, it's giving you a history lesson if you like history. Kingdom of Saladin, and it's going to go on. And some of these words are difficult to pronounce, of course, but just go with it and learn how to maybe say them. And it's going to kind of test you at your pronunciation of stuff. But it's going to travel all along the Silk Road, which I didn't know much about the Silk Road. And this book has made me want to watch documentaries, see if there's any movies about the Silk Road, do everything I can to just kind of enhance my knowledge of this area and this section of history, which I didn't know. So obviously in China, talking about the printing press, paper money, gunpowder, a little bit about the Mongols. They didn't really play too much of a role just yet until Genghis shows up down the road. And then we've got a cool map here showing the Silk Road, a couple of the north and south passages that you can take traveling, if you are traveling from such as Israel to the east into China from Accra, and it continues to show different big sections of and cities of traveling out further east. And then it's going to break it down one by one as you're going, different routes, Damascus obviously being a big focal point. Now, here's something that I really enjoy with the book. It uses this, it says map created by Hexographer 2 under Pro license. So he took maps, and one hex is 20 miles, and he gave it that old school look to it, which I think just works really well with your different hexes. Going to be easy to be able to move with that 20-mile distance, and using some of the old terms for what the Mediterranean Sea is, what it was named, but just giving you a great old school map that just really goes, I think, with the feel of this, the way this book looks. And it's going to continue on. It's going to continue on with your travels as you head out east. Here's Baghdad. And again, all this stuff is very educational for you. And some of it you may be looking to see where's the role-playing fantasy like setting help, in running this game. And that stuff's going to come. So it's, again, the great art as it goes, these fantastic hexographer maps, and then we're continuing on. A lot of these cities I've never heard of, so it's interesting to be able to learn about them and know that you're getting a real detailed look at the history and locations here of these different lands and cities. It looks great, of course, as we continue on. Big fan of these maps, and nice, fancy, flowy maps are great, but this is just very practical, and it's going to be easy for any OSR type player to understand and feel right at home with. So obviously this is going to be the meatiest section of the book right here, taking you through the Silk Road. It was a huge corridor of trade and passage from the east and the west, going both directions, and a lot of information and trading was taking place along this road. So we're going to get into section 3 here, which is classes and powers. So it explains a lot about how you can take characters from Lion and Dragon. They're headed from the west further out east, but then it's got its own, such as the Silk Road Merchant. And I've always really enjoyed RPG Pundit's kind of benefit table for when you go up in level and you get one of these. You can either roll 2 randomly or choose one. I would roll randomly just to have a fun character and get more stuff. But you've got a merchant here. You've got this tribesman who, of course, this is going to encompass a lot of different types of people in this land, Afghans and Mongols. And they're going to be obviously very good at horseback and fighting with spears and bows. The Sufi is going to be kind of a mystical branch of Islam, and it's going to be more of your mystical character. Obviously, that's in it. It's got a large section for it, explaining a lot about it. And, obviously the different abilities and powers they have. Exorcism, healing, levitation, read minds, stuff like that. So this is a good section. We're getting into the role-playing aspect of it. Obviously using, an OSR rule set that works for you. Here's the Chinese sage, again, with different types of those. And it says the Chinese sage need not be Chinese by ethnicity, so that's pretty cool. Trained in mysticism. And I think it's, again, another really cool class with different magical techniques, resistance, and body altercations. There's charms. This is a great section. Just you're getting into the role-playing game part of the book, so it just really starts to give you a lot of choices and stuff for your character. Divination here, very good section. And it's going to have kind of the fire, air, sun, earth, like kind of how they fight against each other with this I Ching action modifier table. And they're going to get into some martial arts techniques, and these are very cool. Shaolin style, and how each of them have kind of a different type of focus that's going to help you either very offensively, maybe defensively, and then this Taiji style. It's got a lot of parries and stuff like that, so very cool. Now we get into 4, the Bisturian Foes. Now this section I was slightly disappointed in, and the only reason I'm disappointed in it is that it seems like there could have been some areas here to maybe flesh out a little bit more information about these monsters. It needs another look over for just coherency of such as errors and stat blocks and stuff. There's a couple of moments of initiative is supposed to be armor class, and armor class is obviously incorrect. So that could have just used another bypass on the editing style of the book. But the like Giant Ant is cool, but there's nothing really about it. There's no sentence. I understand there's a dire ape, but it seems like there could have been some stuff down here that kind of maybe explaining it a little bit more what it is, because you are in such a different land, and some of these monsters might be quite different. It'd be nice to see some adventure hooks along with these monsters. Maybe how the locals, what they think about some of these monsters. This thing here, this Bonacan, is hilarious that it shoots pretty much, it has burning stool that shoots diarrhea all over you and it burns you. And these are real creatures in mythology of this area. So I did enjoy that. See, some sections have very large, some animals have very large sections, and others don't have as much. Such as, the fish, the giant river fish. I understand it's a giant river fish, found only rarely in large river, but like it would have been cool down here to have some more, like maybe, again, adventure hooks, or, what the people think about these different monsters. And again, there are some small, these are just nitpicks of mine of, it just needs a better fine-tooth comb to make sure that armor class is correct, because I don't believe this fish has got an armor class of 6. So maybe these can be looked at again, and the PDF can be updated, in which will then update the print version. So a good section here. So it's just kind of imbalanced, I think, with some creatures having a lot of information and others not having enough. But it looks very good. I would like to see uniformity, and like medium is spelled with a lowercase m here, but in other sections it's a uppercase M. See if I can see that right here. Just a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, just to get stuff a little bit more cohesive. But there are some neat creatures. Jinn are obviously going to play a big part in this setting. I do like the art, of course. It's very good. And I know that some people would probably want more monsters, but I'm certain you could still use a lot of the creatures that are in Lion and Dragon to kind of flesh out this land. But a lot of the ones that are represented in mythology are here. So give this another look over in the editing stage. I like that piece of art there, and these are really nasty creatures too. And maybe do an update here and make sure that everything's just a little bit more crisp. So yeah, still it's a lot of creatures though. And then we're going to get starting to the real, really good sections here on trade, wealth, and equipment. Great sections here about the different type of armor, if you're a crusader or local, how those might be different types of weapons and equipment. I like the different, like the herbalism, the different healing ointments and stuff to heal, such as tea for like the plague, or just simply healing you. And then there's a section on slaves, which of course is something that is not going to be overlooked in this area at this time of history. So it does play an important part. And it's going to give you such a slave table for like the cost of slaves, and go and free a bunch of slaves with your adventurers, and that would be a great way to obviously wreak havoc on the slave trade that's going on in that area. Great section here on hirelings. There's a bunch to choose from, and then you're going to get into some great meat of about trade goods and this trade that's going on the Silk Road. So some of these things is going to tell you about how some of these places, what they might have traded and what they were good at making and obviously selling. And you're going to have here, such as the cost of what it would be in London and what would be on the Silk Road, to give you a bit of a difference there. But this is for big mass bulk, large scale buying and selling of goods along this road. And if you enjoy breaking down more of a economic focused setting campaign, this has got everything you need to do that. Cost of living, housing, and again, explaining it in a sense that was based back then on this Silk Road. If you're using mercenary work for your characters, they're going to be looked down upon socially a bit from that, but how much you can get from professions, if you make the right skill check. And then here's big business. If you want to actually become a merchant, invest in a merchant business, an absolutely great section here to do that. And I was very glad that he put that in there. So you can get that aspect of the economy. Great information here about taxes on the area, with the different type of lands, special valuables such as gems and jewels, special treasures such as magical herbs and potions. Great tables are coming up, and the whole rest of the book is pretty much tables that are just fantastic. Special magic item table. So a lot of those, you've got it's a D100, but some of them are like 31. They're all like 31 to 32, but some really neat magical items in here to help give your setting a little bit more of a fantastical feel. And then this is where, so you're looking at the book, you're learning a lot of history, but what do you do there? What are your adventurers going to do? Are they just going to be mercenaries, guards for a caravan heading out east, maybe to China, selling along the way and meeting the different people? And this is where, if you've got confusion about what you're actually going to be doing, because a lot of this stuff before is a big history lesson, this is the stuff you need to go through, these encounters along the road, and the different ways that they're broken down. He's going to give you details about each one of those. And this is going to help you understand kind of, adventure hooks about what you could be facing along the Silk Road. And this is the stuff that's going to help you create a night's encounter, the night's adventure, whatever, the month's campaign, whatever it may be. And so very useful, very good charts and tables here. I read all of them and I was very impressed. Details of events and cities and regions. As you can see, there's some nice big paragraphs here explaining what's going on. And so this is one of my favorite sections of the book. Unwanted attention, much like in Lion and Dragon, Dark Albion and stuff. You've got to have, you can't just walk around with a bunch of weapons and stuff. You're going to be stopped and harassed about what you're doing, and so in different locations. So it's great if you want to try to reproduce that feel for historic do's and don'ts, I guess I should say. So here's royal attention. You may get the attention of royalty, justice, laws and punishment in the area, such as minor offenses and stuff like that, assault, banditry. And then there also talks about lashings and Chinese law. And then we've got a survival section here about you're gonna see a lot of different types of weather when you're traveling the Silk Road, with extreme weather such as heat and cold, what to do about food and water. And then, much like Dark Albion, we've got a great chronology of the Silk Road, the way that Dark Albion had, and it's very robust here, explaining all about, and it says here, 1192, this is the presumed starting point for this campaign, breaking down everything that's going to happen in the future, which of course you can then plug into your setting and your campaign that you're doing, to have some of these events actually happen in your game, and maybe your players and their characters can influence them, change them, be directly involved, maybe help them win wars, and see these different dynasties kind of rise and fall based on this chronology here. So yeah, it's quite robust, as you can see. With again, you're getting a big history lesson here, and you wouldn't expect anything else from one of these historical settings from RPG Pundit. And then we've got, and of course, it's going to help people a lot. Different names, Arabic male names, female names, their by names, Persian names, so you can roll up Turks, Song Chinese male names. So very helpful in as you can see, very lengthy at creating unique, historically accurate names during this time. Indian male names, and then actually cool, some of them have what their meaning is in that language, so very good. And more great random encounters and adventure seeds. Once again, going into great ways for you to finally kind of understand what your adventurers will be doing on the Silk Road. I would read these, get your ideas for encounters. You can obviously roll on them, but this is going to help you a lot. And a lot of this is going to be banditry. It's going to be monsters maybe were spotted in a cave, or villages being attacked by monsters. Maybe there's maybe merchant houses are fighting against each other. There's a strange evil place, maybe some ruins, maybe there's some spirits. There's some tribesmen that are attacking some other tribe and they need help. So it's a very good section that's going to help you create your adventures. So it's great. Random mercenaries, random merchant houses, random pleasure houses. It's going to talk about opium and hashish and how strong they were, getting addicted to those. You can have a bunch of different types of adventures in dealing with that, as that was the most common, two of the most common narcotics on the Silk Road. Magical drugs as well. Random ruins, random scholars and sages. Again, they might have different issues or problems that maybe you can help along, to give them some sort of boost to help them figure out what they need to do. Here's a cool one here. One of the school members was recently killed. It's not clear who the murderer was or whether the danger is from inside or the school or outside, so a little bit of intrigue, maybe some investigation can happen. Random Sufis, random tribesmen, random village stuff. So all this is very beneficial, and that's going to end at 189 there. So the premium version looks great. I wish I had the standard edition, the normal type of hardcover copy, just to be able to show you the difference, but hopefully you can see that with the premium, it really stands out with that great border, with these great maps as well. So the link's going to be down in the description for the PDF and the print. Now, this premium colored version is expensive, but that's how it's going now at Drive-Thru-RPG. Those prices have really gone up, and if you are a publisher, you know why, what the reasons are. They keep people up to date with what's going on, but the price has gotten really high. One thing I will say, which is very good that some people may not know, is that Drive-Thru-RPG is going to take their black and white books and they're going to make them all 70-pound weight paper instead of 50. So some of the books that you can kind of see through that are black and white, that's going to be a thing of the past, because this is 70 and that's going to be 70 as well when it comes to black and white. But I'm glad I got the premium. It is a little bit more expensive, obviously, but it just looks so much better with those borders popping out like that. Overall, I think it's cool. It's once again, it's new territory for me, for an area that I didn't know. So I'm getting a history lesson. My only negatives would be that the monster section just needs another look going through it. It doesn't matter so much to me about fluffing up with some adventure, hooks, and what the locals say is just make sure that these stats are all uniform, and make sure that initiative is where initiative is, and armor class is where armor class is supposed to be, and maybe keeping capitalization of certain words all the same would be just one of those editing things and proofreading things. But yeah, I think you're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna have a lot of fun and get outside of your normal rut of Western European settings once again, and try something new, which I'm always about, is trying something new. I really like this page right here with these different 4 pieces of art. Just really looks great with this border. So there it is, Sword and Caravan, another great book by RPG Pundit. He's got some more stuff that's going to come out in the future. Another historical setting book. I believe it involves Poland, from what I've seen. But yeah, this is a neat book. I love the art, love the border. Could be a little bit better in the monster section, but a lot of great encounter tables to help you understand exactly what type of adventures you're going to have along the Silk Road. Watch some documentaries that are out there. I know there's some on YouTube. Help you get into the vibe a little bit more. Maybe help you understand as well while you're reading it. And it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So, use it with Lion and Dragon. I think that's going to be the easiest thing to do, because it is a good rule set that he created. It's a great book, and they'll gel, very well together. So there it is, Sword and Caravan. I hope that this has been helpful for you. Please like and subscribe and all that stuff. I've got some more stuff coming, more videos coming in the near future, so stay tuned for those, and check out Sword and Caravan. I think you'll be happy with it. So thanks.